Now let's get to some Cardano news, man, because Cardano's in a very interesting place right now. We've seen it actually pump recently, but what I thought was interesting, I don't know if you saw this or not. Lex Friedman was on Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
and Lex Friedman put it out there for Joe to bring on Charles Hoskinson. And I know what, like, I don't think people that really know Joe Rogan or know Charles Hoskinson realize how interesting of a conversation that would be. What do you think about that?
I think there's a huge chance it happens. One, Charles was on Lex podcast before. And so,
Mhm.
there's a little bit of connection there. Maybe he has all the pertinent contact information, be able to make it happen. But I think Joe's more likely to bring him on, versus a Vitalik or something like that, because one, the man lives on a Wyoming ranch. Joe's into like hunting bears with bow and arrows. So like, boom,
Alchemy.
they connect. Two, he has a falcon. Three, he has all these crazy costumes. He dresses like, he's Klaus Schwab or something. And so I think there's just a lot of angles for them to talk, because Joe knows his audience probably doesn't want to listen to crypto for 3 hours. That's going to be a little bit boring, but they could definitely do 30 minutes of crypto, 30 minutes of falconing, 30 minutes of, sustainability with energy, another 30 minutes on what it's like living in a ranch. And then there's a whole angle where you have an exciting episode.
Yeah, I think, that's what I tell my friends. It's like, dude, that episode would be so much bigger than crypto. I mean, Charles is he's an out there guy. Joe's obviously an interesting guy. So, now as far as the Cardano NFTs go, and again, I got to give you and Justin credit because I look at y'all as like the first settlers into the Cardano NFTs. My goodness, dude, some of the ones that I got in, a lot of y'all's picks have done incredible. And I'm just kind of at this point right now, and I'm like, wait, how are some of these have 10x? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not even in, and I'm assuming, let's say Cardano gets to an all-time high. Smart investors, so they're not going to want to sell their Cardano because it's a taxable event. They may transfer them into NFTs to hold the value. So I was like, maybe we haven't seen anything yet. What are you thinking?
No, I think there's something there, because no one really remembers how bullish Cardano NFTs were about a year ago. It was just everything's up. Maybe it's 2 years. No, yeah, about a year ago. So everything was super bullish. And, the example I like to give for the Cardano ecosystem kind of living in a bubble is I went to 2 Cardano events in about 2 weeks. It was the Rare event in Denver, and then it was the CNFT Con, the Cardano NFT Con in Vegas. These were, I want to say, around October, give or take. And there's a Litecoin summit also within around 2 weeks of that. And I talked to some people who went to Litecoin summit, Rice TVX, Crypto Blood, I think one other, Tom Crown. And I asked them, hey, man, I just went to this Cardano conference. Everyone is super bullish. I'm trying to talk them off the ledge. I'm trying to tell them to sell. I'm trying to tell them to take profit. There's a society token, and, it's all-time high. And I'm like, everybody's just walking around like it's, April of 21, and they have no idea, the down season that we're about to experience. And I asked the Litecoin attendees, so what was Litecoin like? Was it the same? And they're like, no, optimistic, bullish. What are you talking about? No, man, we're all bearish. And I was like, okay, so Cardano's just in a bubble where, we don't really listen to criticism. We don't really listen to FUD. We just keep doing our own thing. And so, yeah, I think when Cardano turns bullish, when it hits all-time highs, it's going to be insane. Now, you are going to have some, projects. If you bought in at 35-cent Cardano and it's worth 100, maybe if Cardano 10x's, you can't expect it to 10x in ADA. But, it's going to reach a parity with the fiat level, but there's still huge opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. And again, I'm not the most technical guy as far as, how the blockchain's built, but it seems like from listening to Charles, he really is an educated guy. He really does know what's going on. But I guess my only concern, I want to ask you, any concerns with possible SEC? We're seeing the SEC really big talks from our government about ramping up enforcement, going after projects. Now, Charles, he speaks on, the Congress a lot on Capitol Hill. So is he kind of immune to this? Does he know what he's doing?
I wouldn't say immune. It seems like the best strategy is SBF. You just bribe everybody, but they did their IPO in Japan with Cardano, so they might get away with it. I'm sure they had a lot of smart people looking at the laws, looking at the books at the time. And so Cardano Foundation is in that rare class of protocols where they can literally fight the SEC tooth and nail and spend $100 million on it and then not blink an eye. XRP, Coinbase, there's a handful of entities that can just, hey, look, we got all the money. We're like a Coca-Cola. We're like an Alphabet, Cardano's it probably in that rarefied space. So I think they could take SEC all the way down to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think it is a situation where the SEC really has to pick its battles as well, and they're going to perhaps go after some of the low hanging fruit, for who they want to target for whatever reason. Now, the Cardano NFTs, just seeing the different marketplaces, how cool they were, and just seeing something different from OpenSea.